The story begins with an average Japanese worker called Takaru, heading home from work. He sits down to watch TV, feeling bored with his monotonous routine. Takaru turns on the TV, thinking it'll be good to get a change in pace. Watching the figure on the TV, his glasses start glowing brightly, and he gets teleported to a strange world. A strange man greets Takaru with some tea, leaving him confused. The man explains that he's the solar system manager for their world. Takaru watches as the man creates a mini-planet called Mattias on his finger. The manager tells Takaru that planet Mattias is an inhospitable place where no civilization can thrive. He pours a drop of water on the mini-planet, saying this is the effect Takaru will have after he goes to Mattias. Takaru feels shocked by this sudden responsibility. So, the manager reveals he'll lose his soul since he's already dead. Shocked, Takaru feels like he's got no choice, and the man explains that he'll get special powers to help him in the new world. He gives Takaru infinite mana and asks if he wants more powers, so he asks for a cute partner. The manager nods before giving Takaru an expanded search ability to find and sell rare items. After writing more powers for him, the manager tells Takaru that he'll have a bottomless bag to store all his loot and the ability to speak the Mian language. Suddenly, Takaru's body starts to vanish, and the manager thinks he might have made him too. Looking at Takaru's partner, the manager feels concerned, but tells him that he'll be fine. Takaru feels like he's going to get scammed hard, but his vision fades to black as he enters the new world. Soon, he wakes up leaning on a tree in a lush forest. When he looks up, Takaru sees a huge ringed planet in the sky. He gets up to search for more people. After some walking, Takaru finds a village, but feels worried because he has no money. Remembering the manager's search ability, he tries to search for items. Nothing happens, so Takaru looks like an idiot with his wand out. Thinking he messed up the spell cast, he tries to write the spell on the ground. The search spell finally activates and reveals the locations of several items around him. Takaru scans one of the items, learning it's a B-grade nightgrass. Excited by its rank, he picks up the grass before getting up to grab the other items. However, Takaru gets disappointed since they're all E rank. Then, he finds a pretty rock, but a scan reveals it's actually monster poop. Takaru is shocked that the poop is actually C-ranked and stores away his items in the bag. He leaves to sell the items at the village and finds a yawning guard at the entrance. The guard feels surprised by his height and asks if he's a knight. However, Takaru explains that he's just a gatherer, and the guard introduces himself as Captain Marlowe of the village's defense. Marlowe walks to open the door, explaining that his village has a general store to buy Takaru's herbs. As Takaru walks in, he feels embarrassed by the curious stares around him. He walks into the general store, and the shopkeeper asks if he needs something. Takaru asks if he can sell the monster poop, and the shopkeeper feels excited by the item's quality. He tells Takaru that it'll sell for a gold coin, so he asks if it'll be enough money to stay at an inn. The shopkeeper explains that a gold coin can pay for 2 nights at an inn, which costs 500 raves per night. Takaru is shocked that the poop is worth so much and happily accepts the shopkeeper's price. The shopkeeper rubs the shiny poop on his face and asks if Takaru has more materials. Takaru gives him all the herbs, impressing the shopkeeper with his skills. The shopkeeper asks why he's selling rare items in his small store. So, Takaru says that he's a traveling merchant, thinking he's got the skills. The shopkeeper asks Takaru for a serious job. He requests some rare myethil ore from an eastern mountain, and Takaru asks for a local map. The shopkeeper nods before paying Takaru 360,000 raids for all his items. Takaru's eyes pop out at all the money, but the shopkeeper warns that he'll encounter monsters in the mountain. With his money, Takaru books an inn to get some rest. An inn employee enters the room with a tub of hot water. She tells Takaru he can clean his body with the water, and he asks where he can get a full bath. She reveals that only nobility can afford full baths in their world. But Takaru can also ask a water magician for one. Excited to use his own magic, Takaru takes the bowl and gives the girl some good money to enjoy. After sending her off, Takaru tries chanting words for a water bath. The word clean creates a gush of water that deep cleans Takaru's body. Outside his room, the girl feels surprised by Takaru's euphoric noises. He feels happy that his body is clean, but feels frustrated that he can't soak in a full cozy bath. The next day, Takaru gathers some more herbs before finding a spade symbol. Checking it out, he finds a rotten skeleton wearing some fighting gear. Takaru falls back in shock, realizing that it's the body of a fallen adventurer. He picks up an amulet containing a letter from the adventurer's sister. Takaru learns that the adventurer was searching for money to cure his father's illness, but his sister wanted him to return home. Feeling sad for the fallen soul, he makes a grave for him and offers some prayers. Afterward, he creates a magic barrier around himself and uses some fuel to start a fire. Takaru places a pot on the fire and fills it with some water and veggies to make a stew. He then adds the meat to the stew and watches the heat cook up the ingredients. Once the stew is ready, Takaru takes a bite, finding it delicious. He praises the New World for giving him so many flavorful spices. After eating, Takaru heads into the white forest of ancient dragons. Knowing there are dangerous monsters nearby, he creates some light with a spell. The light reveals some herbs around him, and Takaru feels disappointed that there's no ore. Feeling grateful he hasn't found any monsters, he starts picking the herbs. Takaru thinks that his awful body odor might be repelling the monsters and starts happily dashing through the forest. He soon finds light at the end of the tunnel and follows it to get out. However, Takaru runs straight into a chasm and starts falling down the pit. He hastily chants the entire dictionary and finally finds the spell to fly. The spell's glow surrounds his body and gracefully helps Takaru settle on the ground. He sits down in relief, but notices symbols for ores all around him. Takaru takes out his hammer and gets to mining all the ore. He breaks off a piece and learns it's silver ore, but fails to find any Myethil. He uses a search spell again and finds some hidden ore, but feels the ground shaking around him. He decides to get the ore and quickly leave, using a fireball spell to uncover the hidden rock. Once the spell shatters the rock, Takaru finds some tiny chunks of Myethil deep inside. He feels disappointed with the small amount, and ignores the shaking ground to search for more ore. He explores the rest of the cave and finds a pristine underwater lake in its depth. He rushes to scan the water and finds out that it's SS-ranked magic elemental water. Takaru feels excited by the valuable find, but learns that it's actually the water from an ancient dragon's nest. A deep voice rings out, asking for the intruder's identity, but Takaru ignores it and wonders how to collect the water. He tries drinking the water, but suddenly the water erupts as the dragon comes out. It angrily orders Takaru to stop ignoring it, and he watches the creature in silence. The dragon notices how calm he is in its presence, and Takaru apologizes for intruding on its lair. As the dragon examines Takaru's body, he feels weird about submitting to it. The dragon feels respect for Takaru's courage and asks for his identity. Takaru introduces himself as a human, surprising the dragon with the vast amounts of mana in his body. The dragon reveals that Takaru's mana forced him to wake up, but he feels confused. The dragon tells Takaru that his mana is as powerful as its own, and Takaru finally realizes that he's talking to an ancient beast. The dragon nods and introduces himself as Valdius. Takaru asks if he can call him V, and Valdius agrees. He asks Takaru for a favor, saying that he could awaken his children with his incredible power. Takaru feels surprised, so V explains that the magic element has stagnated around his lair. He offers to pay Takaru for his services and summons a big cluster of pure Myethil ore as a reward. Takaru asks V where the eggs are, and the dragon summons a big black egg from the water. He sends it to Takaru, who holds the egg to his ear and hears the faint heartbeat of the baby dragon inside. Takaru wonders how to awaken the baby inside, and V tells him to pour his mana inside the egg. V explains that it's just like creating the light spell. So Takaru decides to heat up the egg. After heating up, the egg releases a powerful aura and starts sucking all of Takaru's mana inside it. V starts laughing like a villain, and Takaru realizes he got duped by the shady old beast. Losing his strength, Takaru's vision fades, and he feels himself sinking into water. Takaru hears a strange voice in the dream, scolding him for being so careless. A man appears in front of Takaru and points out that he should have run away from the dragon. The man tells Takaru that he's been toying with planet Mattias for millennia. but Takaru has already shaken the whole world on his second day there. The man thinks that Takaru's carelessness will weaken the space manager's protection, before remembering that he wanted a cute partner. As Takaru's eyes start closing again, the man tells him he deserves some trouble before Takaru can ask for an explanation. The vision fades and he wakes up in the real world. Takaru hears a cute voice squealing in the dark cave, and V asks if he's fine. Takaru thinks V is pranking him with a fake voice and uses a light spell to expose him. However, he finds a dragon hatchling squeaking at him, which jumps straight on his face. After Takaru sets the baby dragon down, V asks him to name it. Takaru feels surprised that V is letting him name his child. The dragon explains that his child already has a dragon name, but Takaru should give him his common name. Takaru gets up and starts racking his brain and decides to call it B for the color black. Loving his new name, B starts licking Takaru's face to show his appreciation. V calls his child by his full name, Black Nobi Valdius, and praises Takaru for the suitable nickname. Then he permits V to travel the world with Takaru. Takaru feels the baby join his party and reminds V that he should spend some time with his newborn baby. He thinks V shouldn't trust a stranger with his baby, but V trusts Takaru since he's stronger than him. He then casts a beam on Takaru's bag before sinking back into the water. As B continues slobbering on Takaru's face, V says goodbye before vanishing into the depth. Takaru feels surprised by the surreal experience and seriously asks B if he's ready for a gathering journey. B happily agrees, so he washes its stinky body to protect his nose during their upcoming adventures. That was episode 1. Subscribe to not miss the next part and watch the next video on